flossing with that
drop. KCP in the middle, bounce, Larry. Throw that baby down. Oh my goodness.
What hard? Are you kidding? With some anger.
Kyrie get out of that double team with the hip fake. What a move by Hakeem Olajuwon.
Levine, he goes right.
Oh! Does anybody know how to post video?
Welcome back into the Drop Step Podcast, episode 37. Home team Brandon Leak, Houston, B-Dog, and now a special guest, Big John, who is a host here in the city of Atlanta. He hosts the very, what do you call it? Informative, entertaining. What do you call your WWE/pro wrestling show?
Informing, entertaining, educational.
I like it.
All of the above in terms of everything wrestling, as you would say here in the South. Everything that you could have to do with all things wrestling. And now I am highly honored to be here on the Drop Step Podcast.
Well, he's been here before. It's been a while.
Yes, we appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Appreciate your time. So now I think we're well-rounded. We've got Hawks fans.
No.
We got a Laker fan.
What's the name of the podcast? We said all that. What is the name of the podcast?
So you can catch the show on the Atlanta Sports X from 7 to 8 every Thursday, The Finishing Move. Then you can also download the podcast, The Finishing Move, The Dark Matches.
Oh.
We do those once a week as well. It runs in conjunction with our on-air show because, well, let's just face it. There's so much wrestling out now. 1 hour is just not enough time anymore. Yeah,
Monday,
not enough
Tuesday,
time.
Thursday, Friday. And then pay-per-views on Sundays, yes, every day.
So do you know what my life is like trying to watch basketball and wrestling? I'm trying to sell my wife on the theory of, baby, I need another TV in my office.
And that's where you can get out here, your basketball here on the Drop Step Podcast. We'll say shout out to Spotify, to Shaq Food Radio, Apple Podcast, and Google Play. A lot to get to. We have a big question, something that is... It's been on the horizon, and now it's here. Will it impact the future? Load maintenance for star players around the NBA. We'll get into that. Surprise starts for teams in the NBA. There's some teams that look pretty good right out of the gate now, 2 weeks in to the NBA schedule. LeBron and the Lakers, they look like they are in control and certainly look like a completely different franchise than they did last year. I wonder why. We'll get to that. But the Hawks will start things off. John Collins, the big news, suspended 25 games for violation of the NBA's anti-doping policy, and really disappointing one that for him personally, he's been nothing but a solid citizen. He's a good man, a good person that you want out front to be one of the faces of your franchise. So personally taking that hit. But then as it comes to the basketball, year 2 of Trae Young's development, year 1 of Cam Reddish and DeAndre Hunter, they're going to miss nearly a third of the season without the guy who was expected to be a double-double man.
You know, when we talked about this team coming into the season struggling because they're still very young, I think they're the youngest team in the league. This wasn't a part of the struggle that I was talking about, having one of your star players, one of your younger players suspended for taking something that's against the drug policy. This ain't smart. John is a cool dude, talked to him a couple times. I'm not saying that he's a bad person, but he did something really, really stupid.
Okay, but how stupid is it if you just didn't know that this substance was in what you have taking?
You have no excuse. You have trainers who you can run this stuff by.
But that's who you do run this stuff by, and they hand you a cup of stuff. You can even see it. You go into the locker room, and there's cups of whatever high endurance or performance endurance relief stuff already sitting there at the locker room. You don't know what's in there after that stuff.
Yeah, but you could have walked up to a trainer. You could have walked up to someone. There's enough people at the game last night. I love how they put up this vignette showing their medical team and the doctors that are there, and you're promoting it. You could have walked up to someone and said, hey, can I take this? And this isn't something that you just went to your local health food store, to GNC, and purchased. This is something that you had to order, that you had to get some things done on and get some checks done on it. You could have done a little bit more in terms of checks and balances in terms of what you had.
Right.
Now, if I can talk like a coach, look at it from this perspective. If I say this to Hawks fans, as this is a young team, we just saw Trae Young go down with an injury for a short period of time. If anything, look at it as a way to get better at adversity. You'd hope that these guys are going to be healthy all throughout their career. They're not. This is a great time for Trae Young to learn something else, how to put this team on his back and how to be a leader of this team without one of his generals there and do things without him there.
And see, that's where it bothers me the most, John, because we're trying to figure out what this thing is going to look like as they improve and ascend up the standings, and now that's impacted. You already have some guys who are part of the roster that really aren't a part of the roster. Chandler Parsons, whatever his knee, might not ever play. He's not. Alan Crabb, he's supposed to be a veteran. He's not playing. Then you have Evan Turner, who was supposed to be your backup, but he's got the Achilles injury. So your backup point guard is already in a situation where he's not in the rotation. And now you're losing your starting big man, double guy who was getting better shooting his three-pointer. So now you're throwing out rotations and combinations with a bunch of guys who don't have a whole bunch of experience.
Yeah, but where you don't have that experience, what are you going to be looking at? Let's just say, I'll say for myself, I expected the Hawks to possibly back into the playoffs, be the last seed that could get in there. At that point in time, and whatever, I'm going to always look at, there's not a lot of miles on those legs. They're younger guys. But one turned ankle in game 2, you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater at that point in time. Someone has to step up. At this point in time, you're going to see those wild mixtures. Let's just say in some crazy scenario, they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. We've seen it throughout history, whether it be when the Sixers had their run with Allen Iverson and they were bringing up, Eric Snow. They had all sorts of weird mixtures on guys on two-way contracts that they were bringing up. That's what we're going to see. This is the point where you want to see the development that Trae Young has had from year 1, hopefully, and then number 2, who wants it bad enough? I'm speaking as a coach. I'm speaking as if I were Lloyd Pierce. I'm walking in the locker room, and you know what? Who wants it a little bit more? Who, not to steal a slogan from someone else, who wants to be above the line and play a few more minutes? And let's work with that right now because it's done. We can sit and harp and cry on it. I know it sucks, but also it's early in the season. If we were talking about this and we were 60 games in, okay, yeah, then you're messing up a big chunk of it. We're early in the season. We're 25 games, 1 game down, 24 more to go. Hopefully someone else will get to that point of, Lynn, maybe he'll decide, you know what? I can do a little bit more. It's just that 3-point shot's not it. But maybe I can do a little bit more and add a little bit more to this team.
Well, I just hate the third of a season. You're missing a third of the NBA season.
Right.
A third. That's a tremendous amount of opportunity. You're just not going to see that we've lost and can't get back. That's what me as a fan is most bothered by. We're never going to know what we would have been. And I think, to your point last night, you kind of saw it when they got blown out by the Bulls. And look, the Bulls, they're an up-and-coming team too. They played well. They played well the night before when they almost had the Lakers. So, you're going to get the best of everybody because people want to stop Trae Young. It just bothers me that we're now going to have to wait until December, really, before we can see what the Hawks can truly be.
But see, I also think, just like to Big John's point, yes, this is some adversity, but now it's kind of like, okay, now you're younger guys. Now it's trial by fire. You really are going to have to step up and show everybody what you're made of. DeAndre, Cam, all the other pieces, you're going to get extra. You're going to get more playing time. You're going to get more time to show off your talent and ability and see how you fit into this mold for now and the future. So this is trial by fire for a lot of these young guys, which the NBA is, and you're eventually going to get thrown into the fire. Your time is just now.
And if you look at Lloyd Pierce, everybody talks about Lloyd Pierce trying to build this team the way that Golden State team was built with the championships they had. Look how many players that have come out of Golden State and have gone elsewhere now that have gotten paydays. That's the one thing that you put up there, if you want to say the quote-unquote bulletin board material. Look who I've gotten paydays for. Look who – step up, do it. It might not mean a championship this year or even next year. Right now, it could mean your next contract. It could mean your next big deal. This could be your next opportunity to not be on a two-way deal, no disrespect to the Skyhawks, and now you're playing on an everyday basis up in New York because they pay everybody.
Well, we need somebody.
Near and dear to you.
Somebody
it's all right.
else.
It's gonna be okay.
Somebody else does have to step up, and I mean, as much as I love to see what Jabari Parker is doing, he can't be our leading scorer. I like the fact he's able to put up close to 20 points a game right now in Collins' absence, but we need some of those other guys to step up too.
But I'll say this: outside of John is gone. Now, outside of Trae, why can't Jabari Parker be your leading scorer?
Well, see, I think he will be, and I think for reasons I don't like, I think he needs to prove that he is healthy and he can be a big piece, and I think he's going to opt out of his contract and go get a big contract somewhere else next year. So he's going to ball out.
I don't want to necessarily see it out of him because I don't expect it to be him in the long run. It's going to be.
It doesn't have to be him in the long run. He's only here. He's on a 2-year deal. He's here after this year. He may be here one more year.
Well, it's 2 years with an option, a player option, so he could opt out next year.
I can see him opting out and going to get paid somewhere else. I've proven for you for 2 years I could play. I put up 18, 19 points a game, and I've shown the rest of the league that I can stay healthy. I'm still very young. I'm gonna go get paid by a contender or somebody who has the money to pay me.
I don't want him to stop balling out, keep on going, but I just need somebody else besides it. I'm seeing it to be the usual suspects already, and I need these younger guys to kind of
but you got to understand,
DeAndre Hunter, he's starting to look more and more like a rookie.
He's not going to be your leading scorer. He's still a rookie, and just like we saw last night. With this team and a lot of these rookies, no matter how good they look at times and no matter how talented we know them to be, it is a long season where you're going to run into teams and you're going to have moments that are going to make these rookies look like flat-out rookies. Why? Because they're still trying to get their legs under them. They're still trying to get through these experiences of going against these veteran and savvy players who they've never seen before. The Hawks are going on a nice little West Coast swing next week, and it's really going to be eye-opening when they go against the Clippers and the Lakers back-to-back nights.
Big John, what did Coach Pierce say last night in the post-conference?
Game's over.
He didn't
lie. Game's over.
He said they look like they just didn't care.
Yeah, I mean, they did come out and he said, and I said it immediately. When they played San Antonio, you know what? This is a younger team. They're on social media. So they heard the talking head say, this team's not going to do anything without John Collins. Well, you know what? They went out there and I think they felt like, let's show them. Let's show them what we can do. They burned the tank. They emptied out the tank. And then you took, and what I think will be a team that ultimately, I love rivalries. I think it'll be a great rivalry for a long time coming with these young players. The Chicago Bulls came to town, and they have it out for Trae Young. Yep. They have a grudge against him, and Coach Pierce pointed it out by saying, you know what, for what he dropped on him last year, they don't want that to happen again. Trae Young got a tech, talking smack. So you know what, I think that they came out there, the emotion was all burnt out, the energy was burnt out, and it was just kind of, okay, we don't have anything left. And you saw a different style of play. What you're going to have to see at this point in time is someone like Trae Young say, you know what, it's going to have to be something that I think we've all critiqued him about. You got to get smarter now. The IQ is high.
Right.
It has to get higher. It has to be smarter shots. It has to be better ball distributing. It has to be take away the carelessness. We have to stop seeing the careless moments of how many times did we just see the ball look like it just squeaked out of his hands like it was raining in the arena. That's what we're going to have to see from this team. Now, whoever it is that steps up, right now you're just looking to fill in these 24 games to get you through so then you can get back to that point of what we all thought we would see the start of this season. What do we have?
And that's where I want to get. What do we expect now with no John Collins from the Hawks? What are we expecting to see? Now you have a younger team, lesser experienced team, a team without their leading rebounder, now doing what? And what are our expectations? What do we need to see? And I think it's almost like a reset. It's kind of like a developmental stage until John Collins gets back, because you have DeAndre Hunter and you have Cam Reddish now, who are going to be part of major minutes on a young, inexperienced team that still keeps turning the ball over.
It's going to be a whole lot of up and down, up and down. You're going to have moments where you see flashes of what this young team can be towards the future, and you're going to see moments of what the heck am I watching? You know, and when, like I said, they're going on this swing next week where they may have moments where they look good, but they're going to have a lot of moments where you're going to see the inexperience and the youth versus a lot of these talented and veteran teams who are not just in playoff contention, but they're in championship contention.
Oh, completely. And home team, I think we talked about this. Was it the first home game, where Vince Carter took that final shot of the game?
Oh, boy.
And we were all like, oh, boy, what? That's what we don't want to see. Be grateful you have Jabari Parker that can be that option.
I forgot about Vince.
Vince put up that shot, and I think everybody across Metro Atlanta said, whoa, Vince.
That was 2009.
This is 2019. You have Jabari Parker that you can put in that position now to say, hey, big fella, we know what it could be. But what it come down to is management doing their thing to try and keep him.
How do you feel about the rookies, Cam Reddish and DeAndre Hunter? DeAndre came out, had the better start. Now he's been a little rookie-ish his last few games, and then Cam started off with a terrible start, and now looks like he's at least ramping up to something. My issue, not necessarily with him, but with the conversation about him, is I don't think anybody knows what he's supposed to be yet. It was, the hype of him coming out of college, what he could have been there, and what that meant coming into the NBA. Right now, I don't know what he is. Backup point guard for heavy minutes, slash guy who can hit the three-pointer, which he's not been doing. I am going to give him this season before I render what my verdict is, where he should be. But right now, because of all that's going on, just let the young fella get out there, play, and try to figure it out. He's only a guy who was just in his first college basketball game a year ago.
You got to give him time. You got to let him grow. I mean, I know everybody has come out and they said, well, what have you seen him improve on? What have you seen him grow into? Okay, what did we see Steph Curry grow into? What did we see that Steph Curry came out? Let's take it back a little bit further. Kobe Bryant exactly wasn't a pearl when he got right down to the Lakers.
Nope.
Let's face facts on some things. If you were expecting him to come out the gate and looking at Rookie of the Year immediately, looking at League MVP, I'm sorry, Duke produces some good players, but this might be one of the moments. It might take some time to find them and refine them. It might even be a scenario of right now for this year, it might need to be some tricky schemes that go into there where I've thrown out before. Maybe you put him at point guard, you move Trey to two guard, and let Trey run around a little bit more. He has a bundle of energy, and let somebody try to keep up with him. And Cam is distributing and dishing and working in a different factor in terms of him just coming down and expecting him to drain a three ball. There might be some different schemes that might need to go and play with Cam.
The game just needs to slow down for Cam. I feel like once that happens, then we'll see what he's really capable of. But right now, it's just still going too fast. He's still doing double spin moves and stuff, getting to the paint and throwing stuff up because it's going too fast for him. It's literally just rolling over himself a lot of the times. He's losing the ball in the same way. Just how did that even happen? Well, if you slow down or once the game is at your real pace, then we'll start to see what you're like when you're comfortable. He's just not there yet.
I like both he and DeAndre defensively. I think they've shown great flashes.
Especially DeAndre.
Well, yeah. Being long out there on the perimeter, not allowing a lot of guys to get around them, even though they've had lapses from time to time. I just think the thing with Cam, he overthinks. He overthinks everything. You just got to go out there and play, especially now. Go out there and play. Go out there. Stop overthinking. Stop, I should have got the ball or this person got. Go and play, because what a lot of the fan base is looking for from you is the thing that you're hesitant on. We want to see you attack the basket more. We want to see that talent flourish, because we got to see, okay, how does this fit in with what we're trying to do and moving forward? What is this team going to look like? And you're a big part of that. And that's what a lot of people in Atlanta have questions about. They're seeing DeAndre get out to a decent start, and like Home Team said, he's been kind of teetering off a little bit. That's what rookies do. With Cam, he had the previous game, he had career high in 12 points. He went 3 for 3 from the three-point line, 4 or 6 from the field. Yesterday's game, he looked absolutely terrible.
But now keep in mind, look at where he came from. Coach K just rolled the ball out there last season, and with the talent that he had there, you guys figure it out. Call me when the last 2 minutes of the game, and I'll take over from there to tell you what to do. So now where you don't have that amount of talent that arguably Duke head and shoulders talent-wise was better than 90% of all of college basketball, you don't have that now. Now it's you got to adjust your style of play a little bit more. And that's where I say maybe to Coach Pierce, maybe you do need to throw out something out there to slow it down. That's why I say put him at point, let him bring the ball up court, let him see everything out there versus where he's just trying to do too much. And to your point, overthinking it now. And let me slow you down from thinking, let's just make this real simple. Find the shooter.
But if you put the ball in his hand more and put him at point guard more often, yeah, he kind of gets to see the floor more, but isn't that kind of putting him into the mindset of still having to think even more, because now he's trying to be the general? And with somebody who, to me, it looks like he gets flustered when things aren't going right, that seems like it'll be more of a detriment to him than actually put him into a position where he could flourish.
Because now you're not looking for him to score. Now you're looking for and truth be told for me, now I'm trying to set up Kevin Huerter to shoot.
But you know what? I kind of want him to look for himself to score. I want, because that's what I see him as.
Right.
I see his skill set and his talent as a scorer. I want him to look to attack the basket. I want him to look at making taking smart 3-point shots. I want him to look for that.
If you're looking for that this year, then you're going to be looking at a lot of losses to go with it as well.
I think we're going to be looking at a lot of losses, period. So that's what I'm saying.
Based off of him or based off of what?
Based off of the team collective. And
Okay.
especially with the
looking for that
situation
period.
now. If we keep, like, we've been going a long time on this one, but 25 games with John Collins gone, like, you might as well blow it up at that point because I don't think I don't well, not blow it up. I'm sorry, but I don't believe that you'll be able to recover in this season from him being gone that long.
Yeah, you're missing too much firepower.
Looking at this road stretch coming up, there's only like one game on there I could really see us winning, and that's Sacramento. Like, we got the Lakers coming up. You know, even when we come right back home, we got Milwaukee the first night back.
Detroit,
back
Milwaukee.
home.
Yeah, I mean, you have a hard West Coast stretch, and to the point I made earlier, at least you got it early. At least you got a portion of that out of the way early, because that's where where it comes down to it. The way I look at it is when I'm looking at this team right now, I'm looking at they're not going to beat anybody in the West. There's a handful of teams they might beat in the West. You have your opportunity now in the East because everybody thought the Boston Celtics were going to come out and be this juggernaut. This is the time where, like I said, you can stumble in because the East is just abysmal. You're going to beat the Knicks. Right now, if you're the Hawks, you have to win those games you're supposed to win.
But last night was one of those games. And that's
Was it?
the Bulls?
Well, the reason why that game went the way it went was, the Bulls the night before they lost the game
lost
they
to
shouldn't have
Lakers.
to the Lakers.
So they had the energy that we
by
didn't
19 in the fourth
And
quarter.
like I said, like Coach Pierce said, they also remember what Trey did to them the previous year. So teams like Lloyd Pierce said, we don't need to forget this game. We need to remember it and let it fuel us. Now, you got to move on because that's just the league and that's just sports. But keep this in the back of your mind moving forward. And when you see Chicago again, the same energy that they used against you last night, you can repay that and use that energy against them next time you meet up.
Well, it'll be interesting. The NBA has been interesting. There have been some surprise teams first couple of weeks in the NBA. If we start in the East, one of mine, the Miami Heat, the way that they have looked, completely all around from shot making to handing out assists. They've done a very good job of playing some team basketball. Had to start the season without Jimmy Butler, and now it looks like things are going to settle in pretty well. They're one of the surprise teams for me, and I think how Philadelphia came out and looked so dominant. We knew they were going to be good, but 2-game losing streak this week. But they've been a team that looks like they were right there, just lost in overtime in the conference finals to Toronto, and they want to get to the NBA Finals soon and very soon.
I think with Miami, it's interesting because, with the acquisition of Jimmy Butler this offseason, Jimmy has not really taken over the way some people thought. It's really been like the Tyler Hero, Goran Dragic type of duo there at the guard position. I remember when they came here last week, Jimmy had an interesting stat line, like a 5 points, 11 rebounds, 9 assists. He was kind of just another guy setting everybody else up, and Tyler Hero and Goran Dragic were the guys that were really taking over. They have a really balanced attack down there with Eric Spoelstra and the Miami Heat, which is allowing them to win games.
Yeah, my surprise team has been Boston. I didn't think they would fall off a cliff, but I didn't think that they'd be a number one seed in the East or anywhere at this point.
Well, you can attribute that to Gordon Hayward, his emergence.
Yeah. Well, I attributed it more to Kyrie Irving or the lack of him being there than anything else. I'm looking at this team like, okay, they're actually playing together because all they lost Kyrie, they lost Al Horford. I wasn't sure what to expect from Hayward. Jaylen Brown hasn't looked like his rookie self
Jason Tatum is taking it up a notch.
Jason Tatum has now taken it up a notch and stuff. So it's like now I'm looking at them all. I'm like, hold up, y'all actually really are that team that we saw go to the Eastern Conference Finals that year without Kyrie. You could possibly do something like that again. I didn't expect that. I thought they would have been the bottom playoff team this year.
But the thing is, even with Tatum taking it up a notch, they're definitely not, based off what they're paying Gordon Hayward. Gordon Hayward, battling injury. They say got to get his feet under him. You needed him to play like the $30-some-odd million man that you paid him to be.
Right.
And he's, I think it was the last night before he had like 30-some-odd points. Mm-hmm. He looks like he's turning into that guy that you need him to be to help lead this team and take it to the next level. That was the big piece for me. Could Gordon Hayward be who they paid him to be?
I don't think we I think we knew Gordon Hayward could be a big piece. I think we underestimated him. At least I did.
Yeah.
I think there was so many more unanswered questions about him, and I guess this is why I'm not a talent scout for the NBA because I had so many more questions to see the things that he's doing now and to look at Boston. Because what Boston looked like last year was a young team that was one mistake away from temper tantrums.
Right.
And now they look like a team that they look like a veteran team. Let's just be honest. They look like a team that has been playing together for years, and everything is just slowly gelling together more and more. So I think to wait and see as early as it is in the season, I think by All-Star break they could be a dangerous team. But health has to be one of those things that you're always going to look at with this team of you guys got injury riddled quickly last year.
Right.
When you look at a team that isn't surprising, the Los Angeles Lakers, one of the best records in the NBA coming out. They look pretty good. Had a couple of games they could have lost, but found a way to win those close games. One of them the other night in Chicago when they found themselves down 19. Interesting thing about that game was they outscored the Bulls by 19 in the fourth quarter. And LeBron James only had 2 points. So it was really Kyle Kuzma. It was the bench. It was a team win. It wasn't AD and LeBron rolling a great finish in the Windy City. They did a really good job of beating a team that left the door open, and they played some good basketball. I think Kuzma coming off the bench in a bad look and not a bad rotation for the Lakers.
I think the way that team gets everyone involved. Who's the bald-head white guy that they have, or balding white guy? It seems like everybody on that team's losing hair. That drained a big three-pointer for him. Caruso, yes. The way that they get everyone involved with that, and to watch this team, and this is a team with LeBron James where what does the NBA become? Pass, shoot. Now to see LeBron James is okay with this and maybe even more comfortable with it, it's still one of those things that's baffling and scary to watch this team as when you have those scenarios of AD doesn't have to be in the paint now. You can pass, and he can line up in the corner because JaVale McGee is sitting down low, Dwight Howard sitting down low. That's the part that becomes scary with this team is they can get any rebound that they want. Now you can take a big man and literally sit him out. What did everyone have a lot of fans had issues with? Al Horford being out on the perimeter when you wanted him down low. Now you can do it in LA. And on top of all of that, if LeBron still has the health of it, at any given moment, I think he can still take over a game at any given moment and still put up enough points to get his team back into it. That's what makes this team so scary to sit and watch of just – how can everyone sit there and no one has to go down low? Oh, well, because you got three big men who can all easily lead the league in rebounding.
Well, one, I think the main thing is LeBron James is healthy. And he's mentioned it numerous times. He said, look, last year I was not able to do the things that I needed to do, even still averaging 25, 8, and 8, which is absolutely still amazing. But I don't have to worry about anything now because I'm full. My range of motion, everything that I'm used to doing, I can do now. And we see the difference between, outside of AD, you see the difference between him this year and last year. Second, I think one crazy thing about this team is that even though they've added some shooters, they're still not one of the better three-point shooting teams in the league. But because they score so much in the paint, it kind of covers that up. You're going to have Quinn Cook is going to have games like he did before. He's going to have games every now and then. Troy Dames is going to have games every now and then. Your role players are going to have games where they pick it up, and they're going to have games where they look absolutely terrible. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Terrible.
The part of it that we're leaving now because it's been more offensive focused is their defense.
Number one in the league in blocks.
That's what they've committed to is the defensive end of the floor. Like, they're not letting you get anything in the paint for sure, and everybody's long now. And the fact that you can leave Dwight Howard down there in the post and take AD out a little bit longer. You got length everywhere. You can't do pick and rolls on these guys. Everybody's got 7-foot wingspans. You can't really get a clean shot up because they're able to reach up and close out a lot easier as well. So, to me, I love it because it's a defensive game that they're playing. We said it earlier on. I can't remember on one of the past podcasts, Book was saying, like, he was talking about the Clippers, or it might have been you saying the Clippers, like, they're going to keep teams to under 100 points. And we didn't see that for the Lakers at that point. This was after that first game. But now it's looking like the opposite. Like, hold up, the Lakers are the ones that are going to keep you under 100 points a game. So it's like if they're able to do that and then still get whatever they get from all these supplementary pieces, it's to me, the top team.
To beat the Lakers, you're going to have to play faster. You're going to have to get outlet passes and outrun them on the floor and hope LeBron's legs and that notorious come from behind block doesn't come about. That's the way you're going to have to beat them. When they go with that bigger collection where you're looking at AD, LeBron, we know JaVale McGee moves like a slug sometimes. You're going to have to outrun them on outlet passes, on outlet rebounds, but that's going to be the tricky part. It's easier said than done to try and rebound on that team because that's the best way you're going to have to keep up with them.
Two things I'll say I think the Lakers are going to have to do. One, I think they're going to need they have to get another scorer coming off the bench. Somebody like a Jamal Crawford that's out there who is an instant bucket when you bring him in to kind of help bolster that bench. I look at Lou Will with the Clippers. Yes, he's a little younger than Jamal Crawford. Lou Will is we call him a walking bucket. Both of them have owned the Sixth Man of the Year award for years. I think Jamal Crawford is still a guy who, can shake and bake and can still go out there and get you some buckets. I think they need another scorer. And we talked about down the stretch. Will AD be okay playing the 5 down the stretch and then rolling out a lineup of him, Kuzma, LeBron, Danny Green, and then I don't know who else you probably throw at point guard. Move down the straight.
Well, I don't think that you're not going to have to focus on him playing that 5 down the stretch as much. I think Dwight Howard's giving you enough to show you that I can still play pretty big and give you some good minutes deep into a game. Like I can get down into the fourth quarter and you're not gonna necessarily have to worry about me. Now, if you're thinking about him in foul trouble, I don't think that might be the only issue. Is people
I'm just talking about spreading the floor. Just being able to run out a smaller lineup to be able to spread the floor, take more guys off the dribble, and just because we understand that this league is spread out. I think the Lakers can do multiple things with their lineup because of the depth that they have, which is one of the things they worried about in the past. So depending on how games are flowing as you get deeper and deeper into the season and even into the playoffs, I wonder what our lineup will start to look like based off because it's about matchups in this league.
Right.
And what team is going to dictate what your lineup is going to look like.
Well, the game's going to slow down come in the playoff time. It's going to slow down a little bit. So having those bigger guys who can hunker down in the paint are going to probably even bode better for them because it's going to become more physical. It's going to be a little bit more of a fight when you get to the playoff time. So, like I said, I still don't. I think them being so worried about him playing the 5 isn't even going to be an issue come the end of the season.
Now, let me throw something out there for you as a name that I read earlier and see how you feel about it, Harper, particularly since you're a Lakers fan. The reports that many executives are saying that the Lakers are trying to trade for Andre Iguodala.
Oh, I'd love to have Iggy. But my thing is I don't know what the Grizzlies are doing. I know it's smart. They should really just come up off Iggy. They really should, because obviously I know it's smart for them to say, okay, so many people want him, so let's try to trade him. But I guess selfishly, I'm thinking like, dude, he don't want to be there. Just release him. But I would like to have him as another defensive piece and a guy who can put the ball on the floor and hit the mid-range jump shot. He's been there numerous times before. It's another piece of experience that you add to this team. So, yes, I'm all for it.
Who and what are you trading for Iggy?
Well, that's what I've been trying to figure out. The Lakers don't have anything
to
that they can get for him.
Yeah.
So that's the tricky part.
They might need to make a tweak. And they have some reinforcements coming. Once Avery Bradley gets there, they'll have a defensive guy, a veteran. Once Rondo gets in there, and, they'll be fine. I don't think they need to do much given what they have and then how they're going to be set up for the playoffs, barring no major injuries. And speaking of injuries, it's going to be becoming a topic of discussion. What do we think about load maintenance? That'll be a new term that we'll be throwing around a lot. My opinion, and it came up because Kawhi Leonard is going to be, on a pitch count. And given the fact that he is a premier player, he is a player that has injury history, he is a player that you need him to be at his optimal health. When you get to the postseason, you can understand why he would be on a pitch count or be going through load maintenance early in the season. That being said, what does that mean for the NBA? Heard Doris Burke go on a pretty good, I'm going to call it a rant, but she did not agree with it. And my opinion, it differs. I'm a hypocrite on this. If it's my player and my team, I'm for it. If it's not my player and my team is not involved, it needs to be stopped immediately. So I'm a complete hypocrite when it comes to load maintenance, because when I want to watch a game on TNT, I want to see the best go up against the best. When I see the Greek Freak and they're playing the Clippers, I want to see Kawhi Leonard go against the MVP and Giannis Antetokounmpo. So I'm a hypocrite. I don't know where you guys stand. The league certainly will be watching this, and how do we move forward? Doris Burke made a very good point that right now might not be a problem, but if it is seeped into the NBA culture, it could be a problem down the line later on, years to come in the NBA.
Well, home team, I'd ask you just to slide on over and make room on that hypocritical seat of yours, because I'm going to sit down with you.
All right.
It's a double-edged sword. Like you said, if he's my guy and it's my team, I'm going to do what's best for my team.
Right.
And I'm going to make sure he's healthy for April, May, and even June. If I'm a fan and I'm going, I'm like, oh, the Clippers and, Clippers coming. Imagine, because the Clippers have to come to town sometime next year. Imagine, people coming in and, Paul George will be playing at that time. It's like, bro, we get to see Kawhi. We get to see Paul George. You get an update. Kawhi Leonard will not be playing tonight because of load management. Now, for us who are here in Atlanta who go cover the Hawks, we got to start looking at the schedule. And I said, okay, well, they got a back-to-back here. Well, he should play this game because they don't play a game the night before.
Right.
Now we got to start mapping stuff out for when the Clippers, because we can't just get excited about the Clippers.
And this is nothing new. Popovich was notorious.
He's been doing it for some time.
For 20 years, pulling this kind of stuff off. That being said, it was usually towards the end of a season when he was saving his players, saving Tim Duncan, saving Tony Parker, saving some older guys for the postseason run, which is a second season. That being said, we're 2 weeks in, and folks are sitting down. Now, I think it's maybe unfair with Kawhi because he has had injury. And so protecting him from hurting himself long term is something that the Clippers do need to be aware of. But that being said, if it's not just him, if this becomes other superstars, if a year from now James Harden needs some load maintenance, and to your point, you want to see him come, you're planning out your schedule and you want to map it out right, then all of a sudden you pay your money and you get there, or you want to have an NBA party and he's not playing, that's a problem.
Look, I make room on that hypocritical bench because slide on over because I'm joining you guys there.
Need to get me one of those extra large sofas.
Because I've been there. This was last season. Miami Heat coming to town. I got tickets, taking my son to the game. Hey, son, you're going to get to see a future Hall of Famer play. D. Wade's coming to town. Get to town, hadn't checked my phone in a while. Game's going. I'm looking left, I'm looking right, I'm looking up and down. Hey, there's someone missing. Look at my phone, D. Wade is not playing this evening. Okay, so now I got a little bit of an issue because I done paid for my son, want my boy to see some of the greats play, and he's not going to see it. A little bit upset about it. But in the scenario of, like you said, Kawhi Leonard, I have no issues with it. The guy just played. He probably played more minutes last season than anybody else that's out there. When you include the playoffs with it, he's going to need a break.
And keep it real, he had a couple of games where it looked like he was dragging a stump.
Exactly.
He was limping a little bit.
Along.
He played and won that title not nearly at 100%. So even at the end of the line, he was going through a lot. And the Clippers have expectations to be better than the Lakers and to go to the finals and win their first ever NBA championship.
Well, I will tell you and everyone listening right now, buckle your seatbelt, because if you don't think it's going to get worse when Paul George returns and it's going to be you guys play together tonight, hey, we're playing the Knicks. Paul George, you're in. Kawhi, take a break. Play a West Coast game. Let's put everybody back in there. Hey, we're playing the Hornets. Paul George, take a break. Kawhi, get back in the game. You're going to see this happen a little bit more. By the way, you'll see it come up eventually with the Lakers. You're going to start seeing it with these tandem teams, with these superstar teams, that you're going to start to see that portion of load management. And even if it doesn't become a scenario where it's a full game, you might end up with the scenario of like we saw Golden State do. How long would we see Steph Curry sit down for to save his legs, to save that ankle for the game? So I might not necessarily like it, but at the end of the day, if I'm trying to get my team to a championship, I'm okay with it.
Here I am being contrarian as usual. Okay. I have no problem with them resting and doing all this load management. This is what we have set the players up to be, being that it is now a player-driven league.
Oh, boy.
Do what the heck you want to do. You're still going to make the money, and it's not going to stop. I don't like the fact that we're basing this conversation off of a player that we obviously know is hurt. Like you said, he was limping in the finals. He was limping at the beginning of the season. I'm pretty sure it's just hurting him to try and play every game. So it's just not going to happen. So the fact that the conversation was built off of Kawhi Leonard, to me, is like, I don't want to have it. If it was actually built off of something like, we're just actually watching healthy players just saying, I'm resting there, I don't feel like playing, then maybe we could have the discussion. But otherwise, I'm not seeing a lot of that. Every once in a blue moon, you see like, player resting, coach's decision or something, and we don't really know what's going on.
And you're right, but I'm just saying, if he's got to be on a pitch count 8 games, and we're talking 8 games in. So he couldn't go last night, but he's going tonight in Portland. What does that mean? The people who wanted to see the Milwaukee game didn't get a chance to see it, but the people who want to watch the Dame Lillard, Kawhi Leonard clash, they're going to get a chance to see it. So what's just being a contrarian from your contrarian side, if the man needs to sit down last night, how come he's good to go tonight? 8 games in. I can see if we're 48 games in, 8 games in.
Because it's a back-to-back situation.
Yeah,
and, I mean, that's just a lot more wear and tear. You don't get that rest in between like you would have if it was, the game is in 2 days. You might have seen them. If the Clippers didn't play last night, if they had played the night before and then they're going to Portland, then you might have seen them in both games.
Do y'all want earlier basketball? Y'all want to move the season to middle of October, closer to 1st of October, so you can eliminate some of these back-to-backs? I mean, they've done away with most of the 4-game and 5-night deals we used to see, 5-6 years ago. Is that what we need to do? Because if it comes down to Kawhi Leonard playing last night, being off tonight, and then playing Saturday, I'd rather have that than him have a back-to-back, and then we miss him for 1 game.
Yeah, but I still think I still think the NBA can do that, but organizations are going to find a way to do what they want to do to protect their players.
No, you're right.
And they're going to do what's best for their team. You can find me, do what you want to do, but I'm going to do what's best for my player, and I'm going to do what's best for the longevity of my team. So even if they were to get rid of some of these back-to-backs, be like, okay, cool. Yeah, he played Monday, and I know we don't play again until, we don't play until a game until Wednesday. He may not play Wednesday if we don't want him to. That's their choice. That's up to them.
And if I'm a Clipper, I'm riding with whatever Doc Rivers says. Whatever lineup he puts up, I'm with Doc. Whatever fine they have to take, I'm with Doc.
That is.
What is it? He had a back spasm. You can't prove he didn't really.
I'm about to say,
he had a hangnail.
Yeah, something's going on. His hamstring is hurting. You can't prove any of it.
DNP-Doc. Coach said no. That's what it is. That'll do it for this episode of the Drop Step Podcast. We'll be back next week. Want to say thanks again to the fine folks at Spotify, Shaq Food Radio, Apple Podcast, and Google Play. Big John, we thank you. We know you got a long haul with your New York Knicks, but you've been patient.
Oh, boy.
Everybody in New York's been waiting a long time.
And we'll be waiting a long time. It's been a long time coming.
We thank you for his time.
Thanks, guys.
The B-Dog, for Houston, and for Book the Hook, who couldn't make it. We'll see you next time on the Drop Step Podcast.
All right. Hey, y'all, we got plenty of ways for y'all to check us out, so make sure that you go subscribe on either Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, or even Shaq Food Radio, which plays our podcast every Wednesday and Saturday night. You can also catch us on the YouTube channels for the Drop Set Podcast, 680 The Fan, and Atlanta Sports X. And last but not least, make sure you check out the Drop Step on IG, Twitter, and Facebook.